Welcome back everybody to Boddy Creek Manor 2022. Why don't you go on inside, have a look around if you dare, and if you survive, I'll be back to tell you a little bit more about it.
frustrated, weekend weary. Never mind. Quiet, please. I haven't even gotten to that part yet. Is anyone in the mood for a nice raven stew? Orders from the house, you see. Now, drink up. It appears that the night's just begun.
All right, so it looks like you made it through this time. Let's go back into the other room and let me tell you a little bit more about what we've done here. All right, so here in the entryway, it's kind of an introduction to the themes that you're going to see in the display this year. Obviously, starting with the wreath on the front door itself, the stick motif we're going to be using in our party, which will be out on the driveway this year. So as you come to the front door, that's going to kind of tie the two areas together. But we also have my skeleton man here. I really love the way he looks, but you know, obviously we carry that skeleton theme into the deadly dinner party and the bar area. Over on the table here, we have the Headless Horseman, because he was my theme last year in the living room, so I wanted to kind of bring him back, and we'll see him in the stairway as well. The spider on the candle here is kind of reminiscent of the back stairway with the toxic spiders. The wreath was new this year. Doesn't really tie in a whole lot into anything. As you can see, the flowers here have eyeballs in them, which you'll also see elsewhere in the display. And then behind the door, we have some of my tarot card artwork. Now, I did a fortune teller theme a few years ago in my dining room. This year, we're transitioning it into the living room. So I don't ever like to really do the same thing twice. We will have to repeat some themes sometimes, but obviously in different locations. We just kind of want to mix it up a little bit. But the tarot card artwork was part of that original display, so I put it here in the entryway as well. This is the Headless Horseman tarot card, to kind of tie in the Headless Horseman there on the table, and as we're going to see him a little bit later. We also have the witch's shoes in the corner here that's going to tie in the witch that we're going to see on the balcony in the living room. The witch theme I've done several years, different ways. I'm not really bringing them back this year, but I kind of think that my fortune teller is a witch, and the witch in the balcony is her sister, so that kind of brings her into the play. The only thing you don't really see in here is anything related to my pirates, which we saw in the bathroom, and that is because I literally threw that together 5 minutes before this video, but I may throw something out here so that we can bring that into this introductory scene. So here in the living room is the fortune teller area. Now, we didn't see it in the walkthrough, but we have a framed TV here, and we do have some tarot card artwork. For some reason, the TV in this low lighting likes to turn itself off, so I'm sorry you didn't get to see that during the walkthrough. We're going to have to figure out a way to keep that on during our party. But the tarot card artwork theme also carries around here in other areas of the living room. We have the hermit picture here behind me. We've got the lovers over on the other wall. And then, of course, we've got the tarot cards on the table. She's a fortune teller. That's her theme. Over here, you probably also didn't see, but we've got some mice. The mice are also carried over in various parts of the room, particularly the coffee table. We have our fortune teller's minion over here with some of her potion ingredients waiting to assist her. I did replace my butler this year. That was a new thing in the dining room, but I have used my little guy here for so many years, I had to bring him back into the display, of course. All right, also new this year, we have our fortune teller. She was from the Oriental Trading Company. I think she's got a super creepy expression. Don't really love the sound, but just having her as this focal point, when you walk through the door and you come into the living room, you face her, and I think she's really a great focal point. Absolutely creepy Halloween. I love it. She, of course, is facing the coffee table here with her tarot cards. These I've had ever since, I think, my first Halloween party here many years ago. We did a zombie theme, so these are our zombie-themed tarot cards. And we've got all the creepy ones, of course, displaying the table, alongside some more rats, and, of course, her glowing crystal ball and some candles. This might be the simplest coffee table display that we've done, at least in a very long time, but I think it's very effective. Also around the room, we've got a lot of pillows this year. You know, I do like to usually make my own pillows, but I went ahead and bought a bunch of them this year. That was probably the most expensive part of my Halloween decorating this year. So if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to that, check out my videos on your no-sew pillows. On the table behind me, we have the skeletons in the glass jars that I've used many years in a row. I just absolutely love the way they look. It was so cheap and easy to do with glass jars I got from the craft store. And then these skeletons were just kind of the ghoul things that you get at the Dollar Tree. And I think they just look fantastic in there. Usually I have them labeled with the names of the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, but this year I left that out as we kind of just sort of explore that skeleton and skull theme throughout. You, of course, have the skull centerpiece there, and then my candelabras. But let's go and look at the fireplace next. All right, we did a whole video on the mantle decorating. I took an inspiration from a photo I saw on the Spirit website, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So I'm not going to really go into it because you can watch that video on its own. A couple of changes I made. We had an owl in the top bird cage here. I changed it out with another skull with a raven on it. Again, a motif that I'm trying to carry through the display. And this is a much nicer one than the original one I had in my video that I was suggesting I might use. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Also in the cauldrons on the hearth, I did end up putting skulls in there. It fills it up. Again, brings the skull motif into the display. And one other thing I added was the skeleton of the cat down in the corner. All right, you have to plan on everything going wrong at the last minute. I actually intended to have this lit completely differently with string lights that go around it. And then I had a little puck light that went particularly on the fortune teller, which of course I lost at the last minute. It is here somewhere. I know I saw it earlier today, but now it's gone. And I couldn't get the string lights to work. So I threw in one of my ground stake lights that has a sort of shimmery green effect. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. But again, you have to be ready to make those last minute fixes to your display. Over on the table here, we also have my flowers that somebody gave me, I think about 10 years ago. They also have the eyeballs in them. I just love them. It's also got the raven on the front, bringing that into the display. And then of course, along the shelving here, we have lots of that stuff. We've got another skull with ravens, lots of skulls throughout. And this is just sort of a lot of the stuff that I picked up over the years, worked them in other displays. I love decorating with the books, the fake books, of course. It just makes things so much easier. We've got the witch's apple. We've got skulls and globes. Gargoyle's kind of just a standalone thing, but I like him some more. There's a blackbird there. We've got my witch's potion cabinet over here. The love spells are listed both with the skeleton hands. Of course, we've got the lovers on the tarot cards to tie that together as well. And I stuck my little owl that we ended up not putting in the cage here in the corner. Of course, our old witch up at the top in the balcony looking over the whole display. She's been relegated to the attic from when our fortune teller here took over. When you walk in the front door and you look up the staircase, you can see this display. Of course, my Edgar Allan Poe Nevermore poem here framed. Love that. It was a DIY years ago. I've got my Edgar Allan Poe bust and the Raven candlestick to bring that all together. We have this sort of DIY grandfather clock here that I actually bought on Facebook Marketplace, but I love the way it looks. It's kind of huge, take a lot of room, but up here I think that's okay. Here, of course, we have our rat ties together the mice on the table downstairs. He's just here, he's been here a little bit longer, gotten a little bit bigger. Of course, going up the stairs, I have my lenticulars. I was really debating making this some sort of fortune teller artwork, but I couldn't find 4 things that really went together. So I've used this many years, and I just put it up once more. I love changing out the artwork in the house for my themes, and we're going to see that in the downstairs hallway as well. So let's go take a look at that. So usually I have different artwork hanging here. It's the same frames, it's just photographs. So such an easy thing to do for Halloween is take out the photograph and put in your new artwork. And honestly, this is just stuff I printed off the internet. I got things that specifically looked good in black and white so that it was easy to print. And they all tie together with the raven and the skull theme that we see throughout the house. All right, as I said, the pirate theme in this room was literally a last minute idea. I had some witch themed merchandise in here, but I just didn't like the way it filled the room. I didn't have enough to really make it feel like there was enough stuff in here. So I wasn't really planning to do pirates at all in my yard this year, but now I'm kind of glad that I am bringing them back just a little bit. So I used some of the parts and pieces from previous year's displays, and I think it just looks fantastic. It fills up this room nicely. There's lots to look at everywhere, from the gold and silver coins, the signage, the skeleton mermaids, which they're very small, so they're more like fish in my opinion. But we're going to see that as well on the back staircase, where you've got the spiders with a human head. So here we kind of have a fish body with a human head. I think that's just kind of fun. So here on the basement landing, I always like to put some sort of figure. It's really creepy as you're walking past and can see something lurking up from the basement. I think particularly the best thing I ever put here was Pennywise. Seeing some creepy clown walk up the stairs is absolutely terrifying. But this year I did want to bring back the Headless Horseman, who is my living room theme last year. So we have him here on the basement. Of course, he's been banished from the fortune teller, trying to make his way back upstairs. And then at his feet we have this vampire skull, because in the party zone in the garage it's going to all be vampire themed. You're going to have to stay tuned for more on that. All right, so here we are in my deadly dinner party in the dining room. This is probably my favorite part of the whole display this year. The concept, of course, was that we had a dinner party with my clue weapons here, and one of these people is obviously the victor, and now, of course, they are both dead, and their spirits are rising behind them. So it's not exactly as I'd intended. Of course, I always wanted to incorporate my Clue weapons in here. I am a big fan of the board game Clue. I collect it and I try and incorporate it in my Halloween displays all the time, and this was the perfect opportunity to do that. Originally, I wanted to have both of the figures under sheets with some blood on them, because I think that's just really creepy to look at. But I was a little concerned that with the white sheet and then the white ghost behind it, it kind of gets lost. So I left one of the skeletons exposed, so he's clearly the one that killed this one, put the sheet over them, and then, I don't know, killed himself or something. It's still working itself out in my mind. But these were new from Home Depot this year. I just really love the way they look too. They kind of look like that rotted corpse, and I think it's great. The only thing I really don't like about them is you can't adjust the mouth, and it's got kind of a very weird mouth effect going on. And you also can't turn their heads or anything. But it is what it is. So I didn't like the lighting in the twin ghosts themselves. it had an interior blue light that kind of flashed and it didn't really coordinate with each other. And the thing I didn't like about it most was that it would go for a while and then turn off. So actually we added our own external lighting that kind of shines up on it as well as the walls, gives it a nice ethereal effect. You can kind of see the lighting if you look closely, but I think it's relatively hidden from view behind some of these mums that we've just put on the floor here. It's not perfect, but I think it works pretty good. I've got my trick-or-treat letters that I made many, many years ago. The whole bone theme of them just worked out perfectly with the skeletons and everything in this area. And then of course on this art TV, we have our Angel of Death with his sword, and you're going to see that as well in the kitchen. Although it's a different piece of artwork, it looks very similar, and they face each other, and I think that's just kind of different as well. Also new this year is my kindly looking butler, but of course we all know that the butler did it, and that was the original plan with my deadly dinner party when I wanted to have both of the skeleton figures under sheets because they've been dead for some time, and of course the butler did it. But as we evolve, things change, so now he's still in the display, but he's just not the killer, or maybe he is, we still don't know. Peering in the window here, we have the pirate captain from my pirate displays of previous years, and that's kind of tying into the bathroom theme. Kind of working it out in my mind that, you know, the fortune teller that took over the house has reclaimed it, not only from the witches, but the pirates, I don't know. But the pirate here is excited by the bar area here in the kitchen with my bartender, because pirates, of course, like to drink their rum, so he's trying to get into the house just for the alcohol. Let's take a look now at the bar itself. Now, because it is still a month away from Halloween, we haven't really fleshed out the bar area here too much, but this will be where the bar is during my Halloween party. We're going to have Dean, the deathologist, here to greet people as they come in for their drinks. Of course, the red rum here is a nod to The Shining, which of course ties very closely to Dean the Deathologist. Everybody who watched my video on him was commenting that he's like straight out of The Shining. So the red rum works perfectly. And of course that's drawing in the pirate because we all know pirates like rum. All right, the back stairs here is a sort of transition area as you pass from the garage party area into the kitchen. I want to give people a good scare here, and spiders are always the perfect thing to do that. Now, concept here, of course, we have our toxic barrel behind me, and that is because, if you remember, it's not quite in the shot, but we have Frankenstein's picture up there. The idea is that there's the lab up here, Dr. Frankenstein and his monster and so forth, but he's got his toxic ooze here, which he carelessly left out, and maybe this is him in it, who knows, but the spiders have gotten mixed in with the human in the toxic ooze, which is why my spiders have the skeleton heads as well. And we have our mutant large spiders. We're actually going to be doing large spider inflatables outside on the driveway as well, so it's kind of like they've escaped the lab and are going out into the neighborhood as well. Here on the wall, we have my glow-in-the-dark frames. Very simple. I've done some tutorials, I think, on this as well. It's just simple frames, door frames cut into a frame shape, and I was able to use some of those portrait pictures that I showed you in one of my last haul videos that I didn't think I was going to find a use for. Speaking of things from my haul videos, here in the niche, I put that skull planter with the gold bats that I painted silver, and I was a little concerned about what to put in it, and we found this fantastic man-eating plant from Michael's. It was in a pot that didn't quite fit, and I left it kind of up in the air what I was going to do. I ended up breaking that pot apart, taking it out, and it fits perfectly here in the top of the skull, so I really love the way this turned out. All right, so that is our interior display of Boddy Creek Manor for 2022. I haven't started decorating the outside yet, but all of those concepts that we were talking about have fleshed out in my mind. I'm ready to get started. I'm going to be working on those and trying to share that with you as we get closer to Halloween, so stay tuned for that. As I said, we do like to change up the displays every year inside and out, so be sure to check out my old video walkthroughs if you're interested in seeing how we did that in previous years. Before we go, I did want to say a special thank you to all the patrons who help support the channel. If you are interested in joining our Fright Club, be sure to check out the link to my Patreon page in the description below. So that's going to do it today. I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more DIYs, product reviews, store walkthroughs, and more. Till then, thanks for watching, take care, and happy haunting.